What could actually spark a turnaround in US manufacturing from here? There are two key factors at play. First, the Fed has been lowering rates. Over the past 8 months, the US Federal Reserve has shifted into an easing cycle, which simply means it's cutting interest rates to stimulate growth. The Fed did its first rate cut on September 18th, 2024. Since then, it has continued to lower interest rates in response to softening economic data and declining inflation pressures. Historically, the Fed tends to cut rates during or after a recession, but this time, no official recession by the NBER has occurred. In the past 60 years, there have only been 3 other times when the Fed began cutting rates outside of a recession. That was in 1966, 1984, and 1995. Now, if we add the PMI on top, we can see that in each of those cases, the PMI reaccelerated 6 to 12 months after the first rate cut. This is because lower interest rates eventually loosened financial conditions, improved credit availability, and boosted business activity, leading to a manufacturing rebound. Right now, we're 8 months past the Fed's first cut, placing us right in the historical sweet spot where recoveries have typically begun. If history repeats or even rhymes, we could soon see the PMI begin to climb again soon. And if that happens, it wouldn't just mark a manufacturing rebound. It could signal the start of another strong move up for Bitcoin. And the second key factor that could drive a manufacturing rebound is the US dollar. While rate cuts tend to stimulate domestic demand, the dollar impacts global demand for US goods. And lately, we've seen a clear trend of the US dollar weakening. Since the beginning of 2025, the dollar has fallen by over 8% from its highs. This kind of sustained decline doesn't happen often. When it does, it tends to have powerful effects for the US economy. One of the clearest relationships we see is between the dollar and the ISM manufacturing PMI. When the dollar strengthens, like here in 2014, 2018, and 2022, the PMI tends to fall. And when the dollar weakens, like here in 2010, 2016, and 2020, the PMI usually rises. Why does this happen? Well, because a weaker dollar makes US exports cheaper and more competitive overseas. That boosts foreign demand for American-made goods, leading to higher factory orders and stronger manufacturing output. Exactly what the PMI measures. Today, with the Fed easing and inflation cooling, there's a strong case for continued dollar weakness. And that could trigger the PMI to reaccelerate soon. So today, two major forces could be setting the stage for a manufacturing rebound: falling interest rates and a weakening US dollar. And if the PMI starts rising from here, it wouldn't just signal economic strength, but it could also trigger the next big move up on Bitcoin. That's the macro setup we're watching closely today.